Hi everybody and welcome back. I'm Snizzy Poo, thank you, and this is Socialism. Folks, it doesn't seem to matter how many times this system fails. There are those that still espouse the tenets of this disastrous ideology, and many people who are still susceptible to the socialist doctrine. You see, society is like a young woman in the dating scene, and socialism is a charming, smooth-talking young man. A scrawny, malnourished one, but charming nonetheless. But while everyone watches as one socialist country after another falls apart, Bill Maher and Bernie Sanders say, how about just the tip?
My question to you, I guess, is the word socialist. I want to get right to this because I want to help your campaign. I want to see you get the nomination. I want to see you be president. We have to teach Americans what this is.
We do.
And I don't know if we're doing that yet.
Okay.
I don't think most Americans realize they're already socialists.
In certain respects. Okay. Let's start off with what it is not what we want to change. We want to deal with the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality in America. Very few people think it is acceptable or moral that the top 0.1% owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. That we have seen a proliferate.
But see, Bernie, you always say that, and I think even the Republicans are not for income inequality. They hear that, but it doesn't compute that that's going to be solved by socialism.
Well, that's because it can't. But let's go back to what Bernie Sanders said earlier. He said the top 0.1%. And I find that really funny because, you know, they used to say the 1%. I don't know if you remember the Occupy Wall Street movement, but it was always the 1%. And come to find out, all of Americans are actually in the 1% when you look at the broader picture. So, of course, they have to change it to the top 0.1%. That way they don't look like complete hypocrites. And so you can see the people behind these slogans, they're very tricky. They're very smart with their words. This is a campaign. Bernie Sanders is just trying to make socialism seem more palatable to people. And you can't do that if you keep going on with the 1%, because then it just turns him into a hypocrite.
Socialism is the programs they already like. They like Social Security. That's socialism.
But
they like Medicare. They like the VA.
How do you know people like Social Security? They have no choice at all in making the payments. It comes out of your check every time you get paid. You don't even have a choice. So I don't know about that. A lot of doctors won't even accept Medicare. It doesn't pay enough to cover the expenses associated with the services. Filing Medicare insurance is really complex. Medicare doesn't even pay for annual physical checkups. Not a very good service. A lot of doctors are dropping Medicare. Direct care practices are opening up. They don't accept Medicare at all. They don't accept insurance for that matter. I've got an episode I'm working on about that topic entirely, so I'm not even sure you could say that Americans love Medicare. I mean, which Americans are you talking about exactly? You're certainly not talking about American doctors. I mean, with so many of them dropping Medicare, ask yourself this: if we implemented Medicare nationwide, full coverage, do you suppose there would be more doctors coming out of school or less doctors? And how about the VA? Only a little over 30% of veterans actually use the VA. And, you'd have to be living under a rock to not see all the news about how horrible the conditions are and how many people have been turned away. I mean, veterans die before they even get seen. And people like Bill Maher say, oh no, they won't ration health care if it becomes single payer. No, that's not going to happen. Well, I don't believe you, Bill Maher.
What we have got to do is remind fellow Americans that every other major country on earth guarantees health care to all people as a right.
Oh, this is just infuriating. Socialists have no idea what rights are. They don't know the difference between rights and services or commodities. You have a right to seek health care, sure, but you don't have the right to demand that somebody offer you health care. You don't have the right to somebody else's labor. You know, welcome to the topsy-turvy world of socialism, where up is down and left is right. Rights can't violate other people's rights. That doesn't make any sense. And let's call this what this really is. This has nothing to do with rights. This has to do with government wanting to take over a service and Bernie Sanders wanting votes.
We have to make the movement, if you like, to correlate what we're talking about. Because on every one of the major issues I am talking about, the American people agree. Do the American people agree that public colleges and universities should be tuition free?
Do the American people want free stuff? Yeah. Yeah, of course Americans want free stuff. Everybody wants something for free. That doesn't therefore mean that they're going to be able to get it. I mean, let's take your logic, Bernie. The people starving right now in Venezuela, the only problem is the government hasn't declared that the food should be free. I mean, that's all we need to do. That's what Venezuela needs to do, is they need to declare that food should be free, and then no more starvation in Venezuela. It all ends. My God, it's that easy? Well, hell, what are we doing? Let's just make everything free.
As they are in many other countries?
Right.
Do the American people believe that the largest corporations and the wealthiest people, who today are doing phenomenally well while the middle class shrinks, do people believe they should be asked to pay more in taxes?
Here we go again with this socialist sophistry. He used the word ask. We're just going to ask them to pay a little more. No, I'm sorry. Taxation is you don't ask people. You pass a law, they don't pay, they go to jail. That's not asking. That's telling. That's force. You see this all the time with socialists, and they know what they're doing. Take the word rights. Now, it has a meaning. It has a real meaning. But that meaning, what rights are, goes against socialist ideology. So they say, well, how can we use that to our advantage? How can we use the word rights, the definition, the meaning behind it? How can we use it? Well, they obfuscate it. They change it. So now nobody knows what the hell rights are. And then they use the word to help them in their own rhetoric. Same thing here with asking corporations and the wealthiest to pay more. What do you think they're going to do when laws are passed that they have to pay more taxes than they feel they should have to pay? They're internationalists. They'll just move. They're wealthy people. They're not tied to any soil anywhere. They're just gonna move. Bernie Sanders would keep taking more and more of their money until they finally had enough, and they move, and then he'll say, they're traitors! These people, they're traitors! They're moving away. We have to keep them from moving. That's what they're doing in Venezuela. What makes you think that a socialist government in America would do anything different? I mean, all the wealth starts moving out of the country. The government notices that this is a huge problem. The people are going to turn against them. They're going to have to do something. They're going to force people to stay.
The amount of tax revenue that we would get just from taxing the people who, I think your fans think you're talking about, the people who own a yacht, does not come close to covering what you want to pay for.
Not true.
No, it is true. If you were to tax all the millionaires 100% of their income, which hovers around $1 trillion, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more than $1 trillion a year of income, and put that against government expenditures, which hovers around $3 trillion, you can see it just doesn't add up. And that's without Bernie Sanders' plan. Of course he's going to raise taxes on more than just the wealthy. That's not even his plan. The proposal would raise taxes at every income level. And like I said, mostly on the higher earners who would just move. They would find ways around it. You would have to start enacting more and more controls. You would have to do price controls. You would have to do wage controls. And this is what happens when socialists enact their policies, is people have freedoms at first. They act on those freedoms. And this destroys the plans that the socialists have, so then they have to enact more laws and take away more freedoms of people so that their plans actually end up working. And then people fight that, and then it just becomes more and more draconian over time.
But it couldn't even work in your home state of Vermont. They were going to institute it, and the governor said, it's going to cost too much money. We just can't do it. It would be the entire budget.
No, well,
That's true.
Well, I'm not the governor of the state of Vermont. I'm the senator from the state of Vermont.
Holy fuck. You're a slime ball, dude. You're a fucking slime ball. Look at Bernie Sanders just trying to weasel his way out of that one. He comes up with an argument, a counter argument against his plans, and he ain't got shit. He's got nothing.
But he looked at the budget.
Then the question is, Bill, you tell me, why is it that every other major country on earth,
I will tell you why.
Yeah.
Because they control both ends of it.
There it is. Price and wage controls. I called it. Yeah, what got us into this mess in the first place? Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was wage controls after World War II, which led to employers offering insurance because it was tax-free as a means to get better employees. And that started the ball rolling where now we have to have insurance for everything. Insurance covers everything, and it's tied to our employment. So, yeah, they cause a problem, and then they want to solve the problem by causing other problems. It's classic whack-a-mole of socialism. It just keeps going on and on. And they think they control people's behaviors. They can't. And this is how governments become tyrannical. Because they just can't control people the way they want to. Their plans will not work because they just can't control people the way they want to. And then they become more tyrannical.
If you're saying that the government is going to pick up the tab, but not make the insurance companies, the hospitals, and the doctors not gouge people,
right,
then we are going to break the budget. It has to work both ways.
Exactly.
And okay, so then
but here's an example. Here's an example.
So you're going to make the hospitals do that? You're going to because that is
the United
socialist.
States is the only major country on earth that allows private insurance companies to make huge profits in the healthcare system.
Right.
The function of healthcare should be to provide quality care to all people, not to make huge profits of the drug companies and insurance companies.
Wait a minute. First you create the incentives that have created this insurance crap that we have now. Then you bottleneck the healthcare industry through institutions like the AMA and pass laws so that only so many healthcare providers can be put out there to the market. And then you allow the FDA to regulate all competitors out of the market, thereby creating monopolies so that companies can charge whatever the hell they want. And then you blame capitalists. Oh, that's what it is. It's the companies. They're just greedy. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. You created this problem. You and your ilk created this problem. And now you want to offer solutions that are going to create new problems. It will not stop here. It will keep going. They will keep running into problems. They will keep instituting new solutions. And they're going to keep creating new problems. It won't stop. Oh, that's all for me today. If you like this content, please hit the like button, share with your friends. And, well, that's it for me today. Peace out.